A very good morning to each and every one of you. We truly welcome you all to the Knowledge Cafe here at the India Business Group Chamber of Commerce series. For all those who've had the Monday morning blues, your lives are here to change forever. And for all those who really dream to be big someday and their names to be taken as legends, as we have our legend here with us, Mr. Vikash Mitra say, then this is the moment for you. A very, very beautiful Monday morning to all of you. It's almost like an oxymoron, but we are truly delighted to welcome everyone who believes, who wants to leave a legacy and live like a legend in the forthcoming years. Presenting Dr. Mustafa Saasa, the mindset and leadership coach, internationally recognized gentleman, who's going to talk on legends create legacy. So for all those who couldn't sleep well last night because it was a weekend and who's been dreaming of making it big, let's get started with this. Truly, truly delighted to have with us our legend, Mr. Vikash Mitra, our business guru, who had the vision to make it supremely big and to allow entrepreneurs, startups, as well as those who've really created a mark for themselves to grow abundance and go international to become global icons. May we please welcome Honorary Consul General of the Republic of Mali, Nazara Technologies, which has already created waves, our respected chairman and managing director of Nazara Technologies, and of course, an author of several books, which is on being a winner, as well as 4 more in the pipeline, and of course, a very young radio jockey, our legend, Mr. Vikash Mitra. Global namaste to you, dear sir.
Thank you, Simran. You call me so many names. I find it hard to believe all that you say. But I'm so happy to be here after a long weekend. This was a long weekend because I was in Alibag and it was raining so heavy there. On the way back, we had to miss the boat because somebody told me it's rocking a lot. We drove back, took 4 hours on Friday. But eventually, I came back to Bombay. I'm very happy to see Dr. Mustafa today. People should know that he lives in Dubai and not Bombay. But he's always with us whenever we ask him to be with us. And he's great to listen to. I think let me hand it over to him quickly or to Simran, whoever wants to pick up.
Sure. I'm going to hand it over to our lovely CEO, Ms. Priya Pansare, please, so that she can also about a little bit. Just.
Good morning, Mr. Saasa. It's the second time that you've come to our webinar platform, and we're going to talk about investments in Dubai today. So let's just hand over, just cut the prelude, and let's just start, Simran. Thanks.
Maybe please quickly have the audio visual of India Business Group Chamber of Commerce. Girish, Siddhi, and Sujata, thank you so much for this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to India Business Group. We are a modern chamber of commerce focused on mentoring and supporting Indian businesses to help them grow globally. IBG was founded by Mr. Vikash Mitra, CMD of Nazara Technologies and the Honorary Consul General of the Republic of Mali, headed by CEO Ms. Priya Pansare and managed by Girish Bhatija, Siddhi Jadhav and Sujata Pawar. IBG has a network of 80,000 associations with over 1,000 active members. It also organizes sector-specific events for their members pertaining to sectors like real estate, entertainment, film and media, healthcare and pharmaceutical, HR, learning and development, travel, tourism and hospitality, banking and finance, manufacturing and retail, advertising and marketing, logistics and infrastructure, and IT. We invite Consul General and Trade Commissioners to explore trade opportunities between countries. We help connect our members with consulates to explore their business on an international arena. Ladies and gentlemen, we've signed MOU with around 50 Chamber of Commerce across the globe. We're also doing sector meetings for our members to help find the right connect. We do conduct B2B meetings with domestic as well as international chambers, which help your business grow with bounds and heaps. So, what are you waiting for? Welcome to our most wondrous world of IBG, India Business Group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And it's time for us to invite our prominent Indian business magnate, social philanthropist, a renowned corporate speaker, mentor, mindset, and leadership coach, certified by world's #1 leadership coach, Marshall Goldsmith. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mustafa Saasa helps leaders and CEOs increase their results by working smarter in today's economy. Dr. Saasa is continuing business legacy since 1958. He's a serial entrepreneur, having diverse business experience internationally, and is known for his CSR work in education and water. May we please welcome the Chairman and Managing Director of Raj Group of Companies of Dubai, UAE. But let me tell you, his qualifications could scare you a little bit. Qualified Masters in Emotional Intelligence and Criminology from the UK. He's done his PhD in Leadership from the University of Colombo. And ladies and gentlemen, with the honorary doctorate in social science by the University of Colombo as well. Dr. Mustafa, the General Secretary in Dubai Chamber of Commerce for BMTG. And let me just tell you, we're going to definitely share with you his profile, because his profile will take you into a different world altogether, knowing how to create a legacy. With absolutely folded hands and with lots of excitement, may we please welcome Indian business magnate, Dr. Mustafa Saasa. Absolutely a global namaste to you. Such an honor for us to have you here on behalf of India Business Group Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Vikas. Good morning, Simran. Thank you very much. It is indeed my pleasure and absolute honor to be here once again on this platform of IBG. When I saw the slides of IBG, it's so magnificent about having connections with 50 chambers across the globe and with a wide variety of business magnates, attached to IBG. So it's my absolute honor to present this program today of one of the very important aspects of leadership, which helps legends create legacy. Now, when we talk about a legacy, whom do we consider as a legend? A legend is a person who creates a business or a deed or something, as a reputation, which lives by, and it has been carried on for the years to come by his next generations to come. So in this, from a person, when a child is born, he's an ordinary person. From a person, he does some good deeds, and he becomes an important person. With that deeds, what he's been copied by the person around or surrounding him, he becomes a very important person. And then when the people look upon him as a role model or as a mentor, he becomes an icon. When this leads from an icon to legend is a journey where even after him, whatever the reputation or the business or the deed he created is been continued by generations following him, if that makes him a legend. So this is a very important journey from a person to the legend. Now, when legends are remembered much in the later generations after they are gone as well. Like, when we talk about some legends are Mahatma Gandhi, when we talk like Aryabhatta, who invented zero, and he's been remembered in the mathematics like Einstein, Newton. And when we talk about legends, the place where I live is also a legendary place. Dubai is a vision of His Highness Sheikh Rashid. He built Dubai on the 5 pillars. He built Dubai International Airport, Dubai Dry Dock, Free Trade Zone, then the Dubai International, this World Trade Center, and created an environment where conducive and businesses can happen globally. And that legacy has been continued by His Highness Sheikh Maktoum and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. And this is the story of Dubai as a legend, result of the vision of His Highness Sheikh Rashid. When I talk about myself, when my father started business in Dubai in 1958, I was not even born at that time. And even today, we continue that business. So that legacy is helping me. So this creation of our ancestors and been continued by the following generation creates a legacy. When we talk about here in this, we will talk more on the business aspects of the legacy. Globally, we have seen that only 30% of the business is passed on to the second generation. In this 30%, later on, only 15% goes to the third generation. And by the time it goes to the fourth generation, it just boils down to only 3%. And many of them are the businesses are vanished in the third or fourth generation later on. So this is a global statistics. So what made that fourth generation or a fifth generation company to continue, and what are the essence of those companies we will discuss today? Can you guess which is the oldest surviving family business in the world? Maybe, you know, some may think of a 100-year or a 200-year or a 300-year-old company. But there is a company called Congo Gumi in Japan, which was founded in 578 AD, and it is still up and running. 46th generation of that family is continuing this legacy. So this is a very true example of how the flag of Congo Gumi is been flying high for almost 1.5 millennium. When we talk about legacy, to create a legacy, what are the essence required? Like, you know, the alignment, the business alignments are required. We all drive cars. If the four wheels of the car are not aligned, then the car cannot gather speed and it cannot go a long way. So in this business alignment, one of the three fundamentals required, what we call it as a VIP. VIP is vision, intention, and purpose. Vision is, you know, where you want to take your company. Intention is what you want to do in the company, what exactly you are going to do. And the purpose is, why are you doing this? This why is a soul searching answer. And if that's why, where, what, and why are answered properly, that will give a business continuity and create a sustainable business. Now, in the family business environment, in there are three components. First is the family, then comes the ownership of the business, and then comes the involvement in the business. Normally, this has been confused between ownership and involvement in the business. If this has been segregated properly, like family always comes first, then, you know, the ownership is your stake in the company, which you will get your profits by end of the year based on the from the profits in the balance sheet. And the consideration and involvement of your in the business will yield you a consideration, remuneration, or allowance based on your input in the company. So these are the three circles where, you know, normally people make confusion and everything just surrounds in the one bowl. So this ownership and the actual activity in the business needs to be segregated properly. Now, when we talk about the business and the legacy of the business, there are certain ingredients we will discuss over here. One of the fundamental ingredient of creating a legacy in the business is you need a vision. Vision is a most important thing. When we talk about vision, the visionary, you know, Jamshedji Tata, when in the 19th century he created Tata Sons. That time India was under British regime, and he saw that, you know, what are the requirements and what will for the Indian people to uplift. He did this Tata Sons, and the first Swadeshi mill he formed in the Maharashtra, and later on the entire corporation of Tata, what we see today is. And when we talk of vision, one very classic example I always like to narrate on the vision is when USSR sent the first person in the moon, it became a credibility issue for United States to establish their supremacy in the space. So they came out with the program of mission on moon. When JFK launched this program, it was a mammoth task for sending a person on the moon. And NASA, there are thousands of people working, right from the scientist to the lowest person in the NASA working over there. Once on the periodic visit to NASA, JFK, he saw a person sweeping the floor, cleaning the floor. He asked that person directly that, what are you doing here? That person's normal person answer could be he's mopping the floor, or he's cleaning the floor, or he is sweeping the floor. But that person's answer was, can be written in the golden words in stone. He replied to JFK that, sir, I'm helping sending man on moon. So this is the alignment of the vision from the chief scientist to the last person working in the janitor in the NASA. Everybody were aligned. So the vision is a very important aspects to create a legacy. We have seen many a times that vision and mission statements are wonderfully engraved in copper plate and hanged in the organization, but it is gathering dust. Or many a times we see that people are not following that. So the vision and the mission has to be embedded into every person in that organization, and that has to be followed. It's not just a statement. We have to bring that statement into life. So that's the vision is very much important. The second ingredient of creating a successful legacy is values. When we talk about values, values are such a thing that it can make or break an organization. See, it takes a, a huge effort to build an organization of size of 9,000 crores in Indian denomination. So this organization, when it was not based on the values, it vanished in no time, which is an example of Kingfisher, what we see, and it left thousands of family into misery. So organization built on values will have a sustainable life and a business continuity in the long term. Another essence of a successful creating a legacy is a unity. Unity is very important in the organization. It's like, helping extending a hand to the subordinate, to the different departments. And in the values, when we talk in the unity, when we talk about, is many a time we see that in an organization, in the board, people come just to oppose, which has been proposed by any other board member or anything. So this, if there is no unity in the board, or not they focused on taking the organization to the next level unitedly, it will not create a legacy. One other important aspects, following this, is a structure. Structure of the organization is very important. When you form a structure, of course, each member in the organization is like an organs of our body. We cannot say which one is more important. But for an administrative purpose, for the management purpose, a structure is very, very important, to have a line of command, to have a reporting structure, and everything has to follow to that structure. A clear SOPs has to be there, and the person sitting in the organization at the bottom of the organization should visualize with that structure, that in 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, where he can grow with this organization. Following this, one important aspect we can talk about is talent. Talent is very important on the organization in creating legacy. When we talk about talent, we talk about people. One question was asked to the CEO of a very big silicon company in the US, and Silicon Valley in US, and he asked that virtually all my assets leave by 5 in the evening and report back at 8 in the morning. That says that 3 important assets in the company are people, and people. So these people, the talented people, are very, very required. Now, in this acquiring of the talent, is important to have a retention of the talent. So retention of the talent is also required along with the talent. Taking further, the next is you require a clear policy. The policies of the company has to be very well defined. Your SOPs has to be very well defined to each person and has to be explained. The orientation of that SOPs and everything has to be embedded to the person in the organization. If the policies are there in place, but if they are not oriented to the employees in the company or not well explained, they will understand it in a different way, and the results will not lead to creating a organization which can last long. When we talk about policy, sometimes we hear this word that this company policy is not good or this company policies are very good. So the policies play a very important role. Second, what we see in this is creating a diversification in the organization. The organization should not be dependent on only one line of business. We live in a very volatile world. uh, Surprises come on daily basis, and currently everyone has experienced in the pandemic how things are rapidly changing on daily basis, or something which was working very good yesterday has been become redundant today, and new opportunities have emerged. So options are, and the diversification programs are very much required, and the company has to be prepared for it. It's not that when your business is dying and at that time you start thinking of alternatives or diversification. Diversification may be geographical diversification, product diversification, or maybe into a completely different field of diversification. So these are the things required. Further to this, we talk about successful creating legacy is innovation. Innovation is a key essence in the business. If you don't innovate, you simply die. So the classic example, what we see that 30-40 years back, the vehicles which were ruling the roads of India are extinct, the Fiat and Ambassador. The reason is that they didn't innovate. No innovation was done. Until there was no competition, they could survive. But when the global brands came on the Indian roads, there was no room for them, because when one die of that factory, broken, again they created the same die. So never change any shape or any innovation in this. May we talk about innovation even in the Kodak. The one example, Kodak films, they are the inventor of digital camera. But when they invented camera, they thought that with this invention, their current business will die out. And they kept harnessing that and hatching that. But the world came out with this, and in short time, the company went bust. Same applies to Nokia as well. When the smartphone came, they were all happy with 3110 and a couple of models which were successfully working in Nokia and innovated. So this innovation is like a soul in the company. And many corporations, we have seen that they have a innovation division in the company, a team focused on innovating their products, innovating their systems, embarking on digital transformation, and everything which can lead to business continuity and sustainability. Another aspect we can see over here is our strategies. Strategies can make or break the company, because strategies are designed on the top and it has been followed by the company. It is said, in a situation, as an example I'm giving, that if you want to enter into a war, you require a plan. You cannot enter into a war without plan, but it is also evident that no plan works in war. So your strategies needs to be little dynamic, adaptable to the situation and the geographical location where you go. One example we can see in this is McDonald's. It's a global brand. Any city of the world or any town of the world you go, you will find McDonald's over there. But when they came in to India, they realized that for Indian market, there are certain recipes which cannot work and certain recipes which will be accepted. So they Indianized the McDonald's in certain form, keeping all the essence of McDonald's in that. And this strategy of marketing and in India became a great success. So further, and boiling down to the most important ingredient of legacy. And this I am talking last because I find it to be the most important, that it is the communication. 95% of the problems in the organization happens because of lack of communication. They don't simply communicate from the peer to the subordinate, from the subordinate to their subordinates, and in a way, and they work like they work in the silos. And currently, this environment working in the silos doesn't work, because something happening in one department or one area of the company, that ripple effects are followed in everywhere, not only in the company, in the country, and we see now globally. When this COVID started in the Wuhan city in China, and the entire world was engulfed in no time, and every country in the world is suffering to come out of this. So anything happening anywhere, is the ripple effects are coming to the other parts. So this communication in the company is very important. We have in our company, I'll give you example of our company communication methodology. We have 3 levels of communication: empowerment, suggestions, and instructions. When any endeavor is given to any person, it is marked which level of communication is this. If it is written empowerment, then that person is fully empowered to execute the way he likes, and his peer is, or his senior, he is just waiting for the results to come. This normally happens when the person entrusting that endeavor is aware of the capabilities and the qualities of his subordinate, and knows that this person has executed, or he has capability to execute this. So thus, it is labeled as an empowerment. Second is suggestions. Suggestion is given when it is labeled as suggestion, that a person, let's say, he is on one side of the city, he had to cross the river and go to the other side of the city, and there is 5 options of bridges. Normally a person will choose the nearest bridge to go. But if it is written as a suggestion from his peer, that or any person, that this on this bridge there is an accident and there is a big traffic jam, if you want, you can avoid it and use the other bridge. That person has, it is in his own discretion to accept or reject that suggestion. May reject is that, okay, he has a first work at the mouth of the bridge, so he has to use that bridge. Or he can accept and saying that, wonderful, you give me this suggestion, I will avoid this bridge and take another route which will finish my work in lesser time or in less stress. This is a suggestion. But yet, in suggestion, the person doing that endeavor has a right to accept or reject. The third is instruction. When it is labeled as an instruction, it has to be followed with every dot and comma. So the person giving the instruction, may it find it as a longer route, but he knows that, why it has been chosen this. Maybe his subordinate is not aware of, due to lack of experience or knowledge in that. That's why, that instruction has been given. And with this, instruction, normally there is only one room if in an extreme doubt situation, that a person entrusted that endeavor can only go and talk to the person who has given this instruction. He cannot ask advice from any other source and take it as a instruction and deviate from his route. He can only go and ask is the person who has instructed. So the communication is an extremely key essence in creating a legacy. If it is not well communicated from the boardroom to the last person in the organization, many a time it becomes like a Chinese whisper and completely change the value and the form of the thing which has been passed to them. When we talk about the essence, there are certain things which we need to avoid, and by avoiding this, we create a good environment. There are certain emotional blockages which needs to be addressed. And when you say about the do's in anything, there are don'ts in anything. So these are the certain kinds of don'ts and emotional blockages we need to address. We need to create a culture where there are no abuse, there are no blame game. That if anything happens, the person, there should be one person to take a responsibility. And normally this boils down in the leadership. When APJ Abul Kalam, when he was the mission director, Honorable President, ex-president of India, when he was a mission director of the first satellite launch, and that satellite launch was failed. So the chairman of ISRO, he addressed the press conference taking the blame on him, and never pointed fingers to the team. And he said that we failed this time, and maybe next time we will work harder to succeed. And the next mission, when the launch was successful, that time he didn't went for the chairman of the ISRO didn't went for the press conference. He put forward APJ Abul Kalam and as a mission director, and told him to address the press conference. This is a fantastic leadership quality of taking the blame and sharing the success. So this needs to be addressed in the organization. There should be no confusions in the business environment, in the office environment. The element of doubt has to be always kept aside. We have to work with focus and thorough understanding on whatever we are doing. It's not that I'm doing with an element of doubt that what am I doing is right or wrong, am I in the right place, or looking always sitting in this organization looking for the other job. So creating an environment where people work for the longer time and retention is there. Another very important small three-letter word which can make or break the organization it's called ego. The ego has to be kept aside, and this example has to come from the culture flows top down. If the leadership in the organization will not demonstrate any sign of ego, then the subordinates will definitely follow that. So we have many examples on this where the leadership of the organization, we can say, as the Warren Buffett living a very simple and a modest life. Example like Azim Premji and Ratan Tata and all these people in the top sitting are of such character, such wonderful characters that that demonstrates reflects in the organization, and that creates a healthy environment. In one of the emotional blockages we need to address in the business and in the family are the frustration, jealousy, guilt, hatred. These are the certain things which needs to be avoided, and by keeping them aside and creating a healthy environment will help create a legacy. A sense of security has to be created. A person should not come into the organization with a sense of insecurity that I don't know what's going to be my fate today, and what's going to be where am I going to lead tomorrow. So he has to come with a clear sign of security, and all this thing boils down in the efficiency in the work and creating a business which lasts longer. Now, when we talk about all this as do's and the don'ts, the essence and the emotional blockage, now we see that how we can create a legacy. Identifying the values, edit this with the fundamental and the foundational principles on what the companies are based. Business ethics are very important, and ethical business practice should be required. Creating a good culture in the organization will make this organization last much longer. One example of Mr. J.R.D. Tata of 80s, it's echoing my ears every time when I remember this. In mid 80s, one of his interview, he said that we could have been 3 times bigger than what we are now if we would have kept our values and ethics aside, but we chose to be like this. So even Tata, by far, they are #1 company globally, and one of the largest company in the world. So even adhering to the ethics and the values, you can create an empire. You can create. It's not always with the shortcut, and the shortcut will cut you short. It will never lead to a sustainable environment. So this example of words of Mr. J.R.D. Tata, is such a words of wisdom that they on which the Tata Empire is standing today. Now, creating, we talked about the creating the legacy. Now we talk about how we maintain it, because reaching on the top many a time is easy, but to sustain on the top is the most challenging thing. So maintaining the legacy, one needs to provide the successor a reason to continue that. Every organization, the leadership needs to give a reason to his subordinate or to his successor, or to his descendant, a reason to continue this. In this, there should not be a disconnect of thought process among the descendants and the existing business, or this thing, or the industry they are working in. There is a blue ocean strategy, on this, which can help the company go to the different level of the stages, where their successors and their descendants get a reason to continue. Maybe it's a completely different, it's a long subject. Maybe in a given opportunity later on, we can talk on in detail how the blue ocean strategy helps organization and gives our descendants a vision and a purpose to continue. Developing a good management team. Management team is very important. Let's say, if a person is the only person in the family on the board, and he requires a team, so he should choose the best person fit for the team. Misfits in the organization, on the board, or anywhere, it will not lead to a lasting values, and it will not create a business continuity. In a dream team scenario, in a matrix, there are 8-9 positions which are required. So the all the people on the management team has to be a perfect fit. One of the motivational speaker has said it very nicely, that the only competency required in a leadership is to form a competent team. So a leader should have that competency to attract the competent team members. This is very evidently seen in the hospital, in the medical industry, where the hospitals nowadays are not owned and run by the doctors, that are run by the business houses. So they have that ability to attract the competent team of doctors below them, and the management takes care of them, and this team executes the job further. Structuring a succession plan is a very important thing. When we talk about any business, to have a continuity, a succession planning is very important. Who is going to succeed this business? And if it is not groomed and not done properly, then the business can ruin. So many a time, it may not be the first in the line. It can be a second or a third or fourth in the line, who can take the reign of that business as a chairman and continue that business. So succession planning is very important. One important thing in maintaining the legacy, what we have seen is that many a time the corporations and the company, they don't pay much attention on funding or educating or giving time on creating a good successor. It's not by the virtue of experience he will learn everything. A lot of training needs to be given. A lot of engagement with many other source of knowledge has to be given to create this. And then, with all this, you can have a successful business which can last longer. When we talk about this thing, this continuation, there is a contingency plan always has to be kept in the business to create a legacy, because we have seen that, as we talked earlier, that what was working very good yesterday may have become redundant today. What is working today will not work for tomorrow. So this contingency plan and diversification is a very important aspects of maintaining the legacy. Now, once a wise king was asked a question about the future of his country. He replied that my grandfather was riding a horse, my father rode a horse, I am driving a Mercedes, my son will drive Range Rover. Maybe his son will drive Range Rover, but his grandson may come back on the horse. And that person asking that question asked him, why was it, what made you say this? So he replied that hard time creates strong man. Strong man creates easy time. Easy time creates weak man, and weak man creates difficult time. This metaphor and this understanding is so important that it should never become as a smooth sailing. And with this, uh, Steve Jobs statement that stay hungry, stay poor, this gives you an appetite for always for growing bigger and continuing it. The moment you come in your comfort zone, and an easy time will create a weak man, and a weak man will create difficult time. So we have seen many organizations and many empires at pinnacle at one time, which are no more on the horizon now. So this is because of that coming in the comfort zone and not creating something for continuation of the business. This many will not understand when the king replied later on that many will not understand it. However, you have to raise a warrior, not a parachuter. So this, even a child born with a golden spoon has to embed the certain values. The value for money has to be created. His sense of working in different environment. That's why in many organizations, I know we work with Hilti Corporation in Liechtenstein. It's a small country next to Switzerland. Since 1969, we work with them. In Switzerland and Liechtenstein, there is a practice that whoever joins the business has to work in other company for minimum 2 years and then join his own organization. If they don't they don't follow this practice and directly join their business, or they are not, their value reduces in the business, and they know that this will not help them. So working in a different environment, the reason is they will create a discipline, they will create a work routine, and everything has been understood by them well, and this will help create a legacy. Now, with all the do's and the don'ts and the maintaining of all the legacy what we discussed, I want to ask one question to you. How would you like to see your organization as? Would you like to see as a culture-based performance, or would you like to see your organization as performance-based culture? These words are very important in determining the legacy and foresee the legacy. If you are having a performance-based culture, it will have a short-term gain. It's going to be a long-term loss. If your organization is culture-based performance, if your organization is following a culture-based performance, it will have a long sustainable life because it is built on values. It is built on many things and many ingredients, all the 10, 12 ingredients what we talked earlier. And that culture-based performance will lead into legacy, because culture flows top down. Every person, then if the company is following a culture-based performance, any person inducted into that company will also be gauged as is he a culture fit into the company or not. So by this, creation a culture-based performance and will lead to a very long life of the organization, creating a legacy for the descendants and the generations to come. Now, in conclusion, I would like to say that we hope that each one of us will thrive to build something which will stay much longer than our life. Our life is very short in this planet, maybe 50, 60, 70, 80. We don't know what's going to be tomorrow, but let's build something which stays much longer than our life. And for the people who are already into the second generation or a third generation, it is like each one of us who are part of the second generation or a third generation, we should be proud of what we have inherited from our ancestors, the legacy what we inherited from our ancestors, and create something worthwhile and leave something worthwhile for our descendants to take it proudly further. So with this note, I would like to end. Of course, this subject is a very long, but I tried to summarize in a very precise, in a nutshell. I hope that there is something take home for everyone, and it will help creating a legacy for each family business or each organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mustafa. Yes, of course, there is so much to be taken from you. And we have a couple of questions. I know for a fact that, you've been the recipient of several utmost prestigious awards as well. And one of the awards in Dubai was Dialogue India event. So we have India Business Group member, as well as the recipient of this award, Dialogue India event, Mr. Aditya Panchpande, who you awarded at that point of time. And his question is, how does disruptive innovation impact the sustainability of legacies of other competitors?
See, disruptive innovation is a buzzword right now. Innovation, a radical change in any method or a form or a product is called a disruptive innovation. A radical change, not just one small innovation or a step forward. Now, in this, innovation can be successful or can lead to failure also. So in the business, when we talked about the options, when we talked about the funding the options, when the family is united, one business may succeed or one business may fall. So that does not affect in the family business. But if the business are parted out, and let's say if there are 5 companies and 5 children, 5 sons, so father will give each son one company and say, okay, you all are free from today, and this is been divided, each one of them are given one company. Tomorrow one company may succeed or one company may fail, and that sons or that brother will go into a misery. But if the family is united, and if one company falls, so the rest of the family united can build company, another company, and companies can come and go. The unity in the company will help them, create can sustain the failure in the organization. Now, the innovation with the competition, when you talked about, see, it comes in the blue ocean strategy. In the blue ocean, first level is where we try to strengthen our existing clients and make sure that they are happy and they become loyal to us, and we give them the best service and the products. The second layer in the blue ocean is what the competition the gentleman talked about, that this is addressing to the clients who are not our potential clients, who are not our clients currently, but serviced by the competitors. Like there are millions of potential clients who are currently serviced by my competitors, whom I can take in my client list. For that, you need to make a survey with all these potential clients, because what is lacking in our organization, what we need to do where this organization can service them, and with this you will get certain picture where you need to improve your organization, and then slowly that will increase the client list. So this is an example of a second layer in the blue ocean strategy, where a radical innovation can improve taking clients from the competitors.
Sure. Dr. Mustafa, our next question is, what we've actually experienced in, our life as well. At the same time, I've seen a lot in Bollywood films. where, a generation passes on the legacy to the next generation, and, the organization, the employees would say that इनमें न values है न दम है. So this is the next question, which says, you may create a lot of legacy for your next generation, but if not capable to do the needed task, it may become a burden for the rest of the organization due to the incapability of the next generation, since his approach might not be right to carry out the values. So what is your take on this?
You talked about the Bollywood, there are, not naming anyone, but, there are many families where we have seen that, the one person is a very successful actor, world acclaimed, and a lot of awards. And with that, his son or his daughter enters into the Bollywood, and he has an easy entry because of the legacy of his parents. But if their own essence are not there in the deliverables, it will not sustain. Maybe one or two pictures they can get, but then it will fizzle out. And you being a part of, and Bollywood, and also, many of us are aware of the families where the second generation could not carry on that flag because of lack of ability. Maybe initially you can get a chance, but you have to prove yourself. It is like saying, like, it doesn't matter how tall my father is, I have to scale my own height. So this is very important. So being in legacy, what happens in many a times, you get an easy entry where the others have struggled to get to that point. But if your essence is not there, if your charisma of performance is not there, it will not be accepted. Like we have seen names coming out from nowhere, even from the small villages. People have come to Bombay, into the Bollywood, and claimed such heights. Against that, the second generation of the famous actors have faded out. So you need to scale that your own heights to prove, this thing. And the second is, part of this, which is a non-Bollywood. I will tell you about this organization. Let's see. A classic example is that who needs to succeed in the business, for business continuation. If you look at the Tata Sons now, it is not owned by anyone from the Tata family, or not even by the major stakeholder. It has been chaired by a person from the South India. So this is a classic example that, appropriate person is kept in the position to take the company forward. I hope, it is a right answer.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, very, very impactful. Our last question that we'll take. But thank you to all our members for sending in so many questions. For the rest of the questions, of course, we're going to request Dr. Mustafa if he could answer them, in the mailbox. You've been the recipient of the Game Changer of the Year, Dr. Mustafa. Of course, as I said, you've been the recipient of several prestigious awards. Now, to be a game changer, is it important to have small time planning? You would rather think what you plan to do in 1 year, 5 years, or if you plan to have a legacy, you've got to think long term or wait for the right time. And I'll also connect one more question to this, and which is related to our business guru sitting here with us. Where Nazara Technologies created history with the IPO. And this is what even Mr. Vikas says, that they didn't expect this. So sometimes, to be a game changer, things just happen without even planning or having a vision. So I would just request you if you could help us out at first, at how long should be the vision plan, 1 year, 5 years, or if you want to leave a legacy, then really think that long, or is it that wait for the right time to take on and give in your best?
Okay. It's a very good question, and that takes me in about back 15, 16 years now. See, we were into a building material business since my father started business in 1958 in Dubai. And this game changer element, which I will tell you, is, you need to have your gut feeling, that absolute gut feeling on the product, and your absolute belief in that, and to a level of madness. And following that, and that only will create something different. Because when you try to do something different, the world will look at you with a very different or sarcastic way. Many a times I say that, when if Einstein, if Edison would have been born in India, the world would have been still be dark. The reason is that we don't have in our culture to give chance of thousand failure. If a person fails for one or two times, we tell him, everybody pounds on him and tell him, just leave it, don't go more into it. So this, but his madness of creating a bulb of took him to the thousand efforts, and he didn't give up even in the thousand efforts. Now coming back to my part of the game changer, this thing that in 2004, a very radical change we bought in our organization. We were comfortably doing a business continued by my father, and it was a very smooth ride in a building material business, where I'm also general secretary in Dubai chamber for entire building material trading group. So more all the companies in contracting companies knows me, and I know them personally very well. Business was not at all, it was just a routine thing which was going on. 2004, a very drastic change we brought in, where in our high priest, he performed our Muharram sermons in Dubai, and in that he told that do your business in cash payment or a advance payment or this thing, and in a very sure payment model, where in Dubai building material works on payable when able. Ask money before 6 months is a crime. So in this model, everybody was working. So I religiously took up that, and I said, no, we need to follow this. So I stopped the credit business in 2004. When I stopped the business stopped. The person who had the target of 1 million dirham could not generate even 50,000, and in no time people left, and we were sitting with a very scanty staff of and giving a soul search on what to do. At that time was the time I thought that let me pursue my dream, which I couldn't do, because in 1990 when I joined my father's business, I completed my college and just bachelor's and joined my father's business. I wanted to do masters, but that time my father said, now this is the business is your college, learn from this. And I was the first family member inducted after 32 years. So that at 2004, I said, let me pursue my dream of doing masters and then think of anything else. So that was the time I took 2 years holiday in business and did my 2 masters in criminology and emotional intelligence, which proved to be a complete game changer in what I am right now today. And that, I have a very high appetite for learning. So after that, I pursued my PhD in 2014 in leadership and went on further. So if I wouldn't have been taken that decision of converting my business on the solid payment collateral and advance payment, I wouldn't be standing here right now with 3 manufacturing facilities, 4 divisions in service vertical and a trading division. So this change, a radical change, brings something, a different, this gave me this fruit. Now, many a time, success and failures are part of it. During this time, there are many businesses which I started and it failed. So I stopped. But, continuing what I believed in based on the values, and which has helped me, standing over here today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And absolutely a pleasure having you here, and so much to learn from you. As I said, today, everyone's lives could change if we follow you. And of course, it has already made that change. So thank you so much. I'm going to please request Mr. Vikash Mithesane for his closing remarks. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa Saasa.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I expected, a great talk again. I'm sure members have loved it. And this one needs to be sent out to a lot of people because there's a lot of learning in this. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa. I hope to see you soon, mostly next week in Dubai. Thank you,
Welcome,
Simran.
sir, and I'm truly honored, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
You and Swini, yes, Swini, I didn't miss your question, but it was time up because I'd already mentioned the last question. So definitely, Swini, we'll send your question to Dr. Mustafa Sasa sir, Dr. Mustafa, can you please send, can we send you her question so that you can
Of
answer her?
course, of course, of course.
We shall do the needful. And thank you so much to all our lovely members of India Business Group Chamber of Commerce and our esteemed guests who joined us today. Absolutely a wondrous session towards the beginning of this week. Wishing you all a brilliant week ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.